Hi, I'm Father Andrew, and about 2 years ago I began to think about how we could better use our parish hall, our community hall. It was underused, and as you'll see, it was in need of some work. And just through a number of conversations with local people, as well as people from the outside with ideas, we began to think of it not as a problem, but as something that could have a great deal of potential for the local community, and really reach out in a very inclusive, intergenerational way to lots of different people. So part of that idea was to begin to work in partnership with local groups as well as other institutions locally that we in different ways have connections with and feed into. One of those ways is with Loreto College, which we have a very distinct connection with and a long-term friendship with. We're also looking at having a cafe project that came about through conversations with the Pathways department, ways in which we can help young people with learning difficulties become more employable and more skilled by actually being involved in something very real, something very active, so nothing staged, something that is real and actually contributes to the local community. So they're not just doing something that benefits them, it's contributing everybody in this area by providing something that just isn't here at present. Again, a safe place for people to gather and to build community, because in this area of great social deprivation, one of the things we need is places for people to be where they can build community. And the other aspect of the project is an outdoors project, again feeding into the cafe, because we're going to grow our own food, and also at a practical level we're going to grow our own flowers for local churches as well. So again, that inclusive element, that it isn't just a Catholic project, it's trying to involve everybody in the local community, and again provide a safe space where people can get involved in gardening, perhaps people who don't want an allotment or that kind of commitment, and also people who would never think of gardening. And that includes people, young people from the age of 3 through our primary school right through to 19-year-old through sixth form, and then adults of all ages. And again, we're trying to make sure that that's inclusive by making sure that everything we do is DDA compliant. One of our beliefs, and it's I suppose a kind of a central part of architecture now, is that not only should things be environmentally friendly and also just kind of up to grade, we also believe that environment affects people. And if you were to take a tour of Gorton, which is full of good people, vibrant people, very positive people, you would see a lot of buildings that are very closed together, very hemmed in, and in some cases poorly built. And I think that that quite harsh environment affects people. We're not surrounded by a great deal of greenery, we don't have access to nice walks in the hills. So what we really want to do with our building here is not just for it to be practical and functional, but for it to be an experience, a very positive experience of something quite pleasing on the eye, so that when you come in here, it does something to you and helps you to feel very relaxed, and also raises aspirations, because some people have said, why don't you just knock it down and start again? Well, you can't do that with people, so why should we do it with a building that forms part of the skyline here and part of the local history? What we want to do is take a building which is a good structure and transform it into something new while respecting its roots. So we're looking at the whole building. At present you can see that there's quite low ceilings, and they've been put in for practical reasons, but underneath that are some really nice features like wood beams, high ceilings, that will give a sense of space and just a sense of kind of openness as you walk in. Also, we just had a bar before, which was here just as a social club for parishioners, and we're transforming that into retaining that dual purpose. So it will continue to be a bar, but it's also going to be a kitchen for a cafe that we're developing with Pathways, which we're delighted, and that work's actually ongoing at present, in no small part thanks to the support that we've been given, the funding that we've been given, and the help also that we've been given from Bardsley Construction and some of their providers who are helping us achieve what we want to achieve. So with the money that we've received thus far from yourselves, we've been able to undertake this work, which has been the stripping out of the old bar, and then what's going in there are new units, new appliances, and also one of the big things, the exciting things, is that whereas this was quite an enclosed lounge with one entrance and exit before, we're now creating, beyond that England flag there, which is there in mourning, I think, we're creating a new exit and entrance which will go out onto a patio area. Now, you might say, well, the door's a door, but actually it creates a whole new space for us to have an outdoor, so the cafe won't just be in here, it will spill out there as well. People who come in here perhaps for a coffee will go outside onto the patio, and then they'll be taken out into the new outdoor project and be able to be involved in that and just naturally flow into that. So everything about this has a sort of, it's all connected, it's all very connected. So young people who will be working here in the cafe will also be working outside as well, as they have been now for some months on the outdoor project and developing that. So we're outside now, and what I referred to earlier is the patio area. So down towards the end there is where that new doorway will break out onto a patio area. As you can see, at the moment it's quite unattractive flagstones. What we hope to do is to raise this up and replace it with very attractive block paving. So when you're out here, it'll look great, feel great, and also the idea of raising it is so that we're not having to mess about with lots of different ramps. We want this to be accessible and, again, DDA compliant. So we want to raise it up so that all the exits and entrances are accessible, and that from here there would be a gently sloping ramp, again, for that access. We don't as yet have the funding for the patio area, so obviously that funding would be fantastic if we can get it. Otherwise we're going to have to adapt our plans temporarily until we can access that funding, which would be a shame because it's a delay in things, but hopefully we can get that funding soon and make this into a really attractive patio area. We want the best for the young people that are going to be involved in this project. They should experience the best because that raises their expectations about what they want from life and what they can give as well, that they should always be people who give the best and therefore receive the best because they deserve it. This outdoor space was used just once a year for a summer fair. It's now used most days of the week, thanks in no small part to Loretto, who is one of our major partners, has helped transform this from just disused space into something that we hope to become a sensory woodland path, allotments that actually produce food that will then be used in the cafe. We've also put in a polytunnel where we can grow year round both food and flowers. And if you think about all the skills involved in that and the experience of that, the development that comes from just seeing, a plot of grass been turned into something that produces food, and making that connection for people between what they eat and where it actually comes from. There was no access to this garden other than through the hall before. We've now created a pathway and a gateway. We had a gate made especially for us. You can see just over here as well where we've got the planting going on of the trees, and again I think there's something important there about accepting that we don't always see the fruit of our work, and that's about taking responsibility for generations to come as well. That you've planted a tree that might not be of any significance for another 5, 10, maybe even 20 years. You may never see what significance it has in the future, but part of contributing to society is saying to ourselves, it's not just about me and about now and about quick fix results. It's about investing in the future, and that's a real genuine investment in the future, where hopefully part of the story here will be, how did this begin? People will ask in the future, how did this begin? Who started this? Who planted these trees? Who made this happen? Because we want this to last. beyond a generation. We want it to be something that makes its mark on generations to come. And this is something that young people with learning difficulties have had a direct hand in. I'm standing on flags that they have laid themselves, providing us with workspace. And the way this has been designed has been very much with them in mind and them involved in the design, so that all that we do in here is accessible to everybody. And in here they're going to be able to do meaningful work on growing, potting, everything involved in that cycle of life. And again, you know, just that hands-on involvement, the skills that are developed and the development that takes place, which is real. Again, we want this to be real. We don't just want to pay lip service by making sure that we've got the right size paths and all the rest of it. Those things are essential, those things are important, but at the same time, we want to make sure that this is used to good effect by young people with learning difficulties, so that they can develop and so that they can, you know, take their place in the world of work and make a real contribution. One of my personal favourite parts of the project, we have a chicken run, chicken coop. We've got 10 chickens. Again, young people with learning difficulties were actively involved in actually constructing this. So they've learnt a lot of skills along the way, and since the arrival of the chickens a week ago, they've been learning all about that as well, along with me. So again, just contact with the food chain, if you like, because the eggs from here, once they start laying, will be used in the cafe, both for making products and to be sold just as they are. And just that idea of sustainability, self-sufficiency, just getting those ideas into people's minds, putting that at the forefront, that, you know, we need to be a sustainable society, and all young people need to learn that as early as possible, and how they can, you know, do that. And it, you know, in a way it couldn't be simpler, as long as there's the commitment and the work to be able to do it. So on a daily basis, young people with learning disabilities from the Pathways department, as well as lots of other people, are involved in the ongoing care of the chickens. So they seem happy enough so far.